Hey everybody, it's Wednesday night happy hour, and this is If You Drink on Vet Radio Syndicate. I am your host, Heather Clark, and over here to the left hanging out with me tonight, I have none other than Minnie. Minnie here from The Bar Sports Church. You all know him as the longest running podcast host on VRS. Awesome person, awesome friend, awesome brother. So happy to have you here tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, sweetheart. It's fun to be asked on a show. Actually, when we first started this, it was like mandatory, mandatory fun. Like I had to be on every show. I was doing like 27 hours live a week, plus a full-time job. Yeah. So just to jump on every once in a while, it's always a fun time. So and I love the title of the show, and I love you because we spent some time together and had good times. So yeah, we might as well get together virtually and chat.
I know, and I've been on The Bar and a couple times, and it's a great show. And I actually had a guest this week. My friend Tony Turner was going to come on, but he was getting sick, so we had to reschedule. So that's when I was like, you know what? I need to start having different podcast hosts from the station on, so people get to know them in like a different way. Like a little bit about their story, who they are, what their shows are about. So for those of you that don't already know how awesome Minnie is, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, awesome is a bit strong, but
capital A.
I joined the Marine Corps in September of 1994. I got out in September 2002. 2311 was my MOS. For those who don't know that, it's a using unit or ammo tech, and you become a using ammo tech if you want. It is basically like office space for Marines. If you're at the ASP, Ammunition Supply Point, you got about 15 minutes of work in the morning, 15 minutes of work in the afternoon. The rest of the time is playing mag ball, sweeping, weed whacking. It's horrible. It really is horrible. But if you get attached with a unit, it's great because that's what you join the Marine Corps for, right? You get to blow shit up, shoot stuff. It's great. It's awesome. But then you have to go back to the ASP for some reason, and you're back in hell. Got out, went to school. I had one marriage that blew up, had a second marriage. Unfortunately, she passed away on me and from cancer. So that was a real kick in the ass. But married 3 times, and I don't have bad credit. So I don't know if that doesn't make me a veteran or not. I've taken a hit or two over the last year, but I was at like a 780. It was pretty sweet. Other than that, I've just been a part of VRS since day one. Originally, the bar was started by Josh Miller, and he quickly turned it over to me. And it's been the longest running podcast on and live stream on VRS. And it's basically, I have a bunch of rotating friends. I usually kind of rotate out co-hosts every 6 to 18 months. It just depends on, their personal goings on and family stuff. But what's up, Chris? And we just it runs the entire gamut. Basically, it's a safe space for anything that goes. We talk politics. I have really taken an evolution in my thinking, and I attack both the left and the right. So I love that. That's fun. I get to hate everybody. So yay for me. We bring on a lot of guests.
You're very articulate about it too. Like you walk the line very nicely.
I try, and I've gotten a lot better. And it's a very, very, very new thing, and I'll tell you why. I for quite a while, was an echo chamber that I call the bro veteran community or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just hearing just this right wing, just nonstop. And I'm like, I gotta get out of this. I gotta listen to other people. And one of my favorite guys is Michael Malice. He's like, yeah, let's just burn down and start over. I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that actually for a minute, but I'm still sticking to these right-wing guys. And you know what? It's time to hold them both accountable. I don't care if you're on the right side or left side. You need to hold these people accountable. And it's time to start doing it. It's time for a third party. It really is.
I agree.
Absolutely time for a third party. And it's going to be brutal. It's going to be ugly. You're going to get your ass kicked. But, is it worth it? I think it is. And other things we do on the bar, we just talk all kinds of stuff about, pop culture. We talk about history. We do all kinds. We do memes. My favorite thing we do is memes of the week. And sometimes I even forget it because we're having so much fun. We just bring the most outrageous memes out there that we find during the week and put them out there. And that's a whole nother table discussion. I'm about to bring this very beautiful veteran advocate on, and she has the most psychotic, inappropriate terrible memes out there, and I'm going to bring her on. She's going to showcase them, and we're just going to have
Awesome.
fun. We're just going to do shots, solve. I think one of the taglines I started with the bar lately is solving none of the world's problems, one alcoholic drink at a time. You know, we're just here to entertain and have fun.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
and actually have discussions that actually go somewhere without people like getting in a fight.
Yeah, and I've been bad at that before. I've actually been timed out of my own show before for getting in arguments. Like I've literally had a co-host just boom hit the 30-second button. Like, you need to calm down, dude. Like, you're really losing it. I'm like, well, yeah, passionate views combined with alcohol. I may have gone over the top a couple times, but
yeah.
I think you have to be passionate about the political process, but be fair, because if you
have common sense.
Yes, because if you think, in the last year or two, it's gotten worse in the last 36 months, how much I hate Republicans. Because every time I give them the ball, they get to the 2-yard line, it's 3rd and 1, they punt. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what's going on? Like, it's easy to hate AOC. It's easy to hate the squad. It's easy to hate eyebrows Pelosi. I mean, somebody who came into the Congress worth like, I don't know, a couple $100,000. Now she's worth like $200 million. How'd that happen? So yeah, but the bar is just there to have fun, and entertain, and introduce people to the community that are trying to do good things a lot. I've had operators on from Green Berets to Navy SEALs who I always tease with, hey, how do you get them to balance that beach ball in their nose? Famous line from 13 Hours. But we just have fun, joke around, have a good time, and relax, and blow off steam. It's hugely important.
Yeah, Trag was on with me last week, and it was the first time I ever went over.
Yeah,
like we were on for like 2 hours just bullshitting, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta go.
he's an easy guy to do that with. I am telling you, he's an easy guy to do. It was some of the best radio I've ever done. When we used to do Music and Mayhem, when we were just straight radio. It was with Trags, and we just play music, and then play 2 or 3 songs, and then rant for 40 minutes, and then play 2 or 3 songs and rant for 2 or 3. And he's really good at that. He's amazing on air. He's such a loon.
Yeah, he seemed to be pretty comfortable with it. And I think I first was on a podcast because he was like, I don't even remember where we met. And I said, I think we were both on the bar at some point.
Probably. It probably is. I've started more shows with that show. Just if you comment enough on the bar, I'll hit you up, or I'll bring you on the show, or I'll hit you up like, hey, you got some pretty good insights in there. You ever thought about doing this? I'm kind of nervous, kind of scared, which is understandable. But, one thing I think I learned, I think it was like 8th grade or 7th grade speech class. My teacher, I was horrible. And she goes, look, I'm not supposed to say this, but look at everybody like they're an asshole and you don't give a shit what they think. And you'll be a great public speaker. And I'm just, boom, went off from there. Winning competitions in middle school and high school. We didn't have a debate team, so most we could do was something similar to that. But yeah, I don't care. Do I prefer radio? Yeah, I kind of do. Because nobody can see you flip off your co-host or do anything like that, when you're angry with them. But
yeah,
I don't care. It's fun. If you don't like me, go watch somebody else, man. No worries. I know I'm not every cup of tea, and I don't want to be.
Well, yeah, because then you're boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
If everybody likes you, then you're boring.
You're late night TV, and nobody even likes all those guys. So come on, if you think I'm going to do a video on the bar, me dancing with a bunch of needles, telling you to get the jab, it's never going to happen. Sorry, I'm not Stephen Colbert, who used to be really funny, but it's hard to not sell out for like $12 million a year. I get it,
Yeah. So we got Tara was like, the bar was like 4 hours this week and did not abide to any timetable. And that's what I like about it, is it could be an hour or 2 or 3. Just like,
yeah, and so
it's like being at the bar.
Yeah, that's the kind of the whole purpose behind the show. And sometimes I've taken it way too far. But it's fun because other VRS hosts are more than welcome to come on. Someone will invite listeners on that we know are pretty cool and aren't going to be like, goose stepping on live stream. But, it's just whatever comes up. Let's talk about stuff. Let's get stuff off our chest. Let's have fun. That's all it is. I'm not going
Yeah,
to solve
that's
any of the world's problems. Just like I say a lot of times in the intro, it's just I'm not solving any of the world's problems one drink at a time. Just have fun, relax, guys. And we do
no.
address serious stuff, but I mean, you got to temper it,
Yeah, you do it in a way that it doesn't like set people off, and people can actually engage in intelligent conversation.
Sure.
Even if they are drinking, but they're kind of having fun at the same time. So, tell us a little bit about, because you do a second show called Sports Church.
Yes.
Um,
So this is
you
the
have
worst.
a little bit of a sports background as well.
Yeah, well, that's part of why me and Heather were talking pre-show. My shoulder is absolutely rubbish right now. You can kind of tell because I'm kind of leaning it down a little bit. I'm holding it really tight to my body. About 6 months ago, I had a rotator cuff surgery. I had the labrum. I actually ruptured the labrum, which means I separated it from my shoulder and my bone. I had 2 bone spurs down and about a nickel to quarter size cyst removed from my shoulder. So that was a lot of that was due to baseball. So a long time ago, I started a whole lot of baseball, a little bit of football, and started Sports Church years ago with Bulldog, Proby, and myself. And it kind of waned, cut it off for a while, came back with it, and it's basically the bar with sports exclusively. Try to stay away almost all the time from politics, although it's very hard these days to not address it sometimes. But every Sunday, 1900 Eastern Standard Time, myself, T, Pook, and Pook, who I served with in the Marine Corps, and my dad, Pops, who's our auto racing guy. And it's basically just a bunch of guys.
Oh, that is really your Pops.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I wondered that the other day. I'm like, I wonder if that's his real dad.
Yeah, yep, it is.
I know you said he was a sportscaster.
Yeah, I grew up. I grew up with my dad being a sportscaster in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was on Channel 18 WVTV. He did a lot of work for ESPN and did a lot of radio work as well. And I grew up around racing my entire life. In fact, I raced go cars, raced sportsmans. Was gonna race late model dirt cars, and my ride imploded basically, went to bankruptcy. And it was right about the time when I joined the Marine Corps, so it kind of just worked. But and I had to quit playing baseball when I went in the Marine Corps, but then I still played private leagues when I could, rec leagues, if you will. And then when I got out, went back to playing semi-pro. So I got the baseball background. Pook's got the MMA background. T, being from the almost Great White North of Wisconsin, he's got the NHL down, and Pops, of course, has got the auto racing. And we just get together. We talk about, people have criticized us. We don't talk about the NBA. Well, none of us like it, and so none of us watch it. So none of us can really honestly cover it. But it's just a fun time of 4 guys getting around, 3 veterans, 1 patriot. My dad was 4F'd in Vietnam, tried twice to join and couldn't, blown out eardrum, and couldn't hear anything out of his right ear. So he was done there. So he desperately wanted to, but they wouldn't allow him. He tried to fake his way through it, and they caught him. He's like, all right, if I do this again, they might actually put me in a slammer or something. So he just went to school. But it's just us just talking about sports we love, which is generally speaking college football, the NFL, hockey, MMA is huge on Sports Church. It's generally like the first 45 minutes for a show. I'm a slightly more than casual fan. Pook and T are very into MMA and have a huge history. And we're going to start booking some very big names in MMA here very soon. Dustin Poirier being one of them. And George is lining up several others for us as well. So it should be
nice.
Yeah, we should have a good time, because I kind of wait a little bit because we got football, and then that's going to wane, and baseball's in trouble. So we're going to have about 2.5 months of nothing except for MMA. So we're going to need some MMA guests to kind of pump up the viewership, if you will.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. Yeah, because George has cool MMA contacts for sure.
It's disturbing how many MMA contacts he has.
Yes. And we had an awesome lunch with a legend in sports too. And we were both just kind of like little kids with our mouth open, staring like Russ Eckelson bought us lunch on Veterans Day.
Yeah. Russ was amazing. Russ Wilson, he's an amazing guy. And if you don't know anything about him, just Google him. It's ridiculous. And he is just one of the coolest old school dudes you're ever going to meet. And we were both sitting there like, I was kind of waiting for a waitress to come up with a spoon or a knife and a fork, like sticking the food. What's the matter? You don't like it? because we're just sitting there like, just watching this gentleman speak the truth in front of us, if you will. And he was awesome.
Wow. He was like if you look up in the dictionary, old school, his picture would have been there because he grew up like, on a farm.
Yep.
A tough country boy, and that mentality like stayed with him, when he became an Olympian and then we became head coach at Ohio State. And he still, you could tell, just like lives that life and that mentality.
Remember what he ate?
Yes, I'm still like, and George ate it later, and I'm like, all right, I gotta ask, what's up with the 4 eggs and broccoli?
Broccoli, yeah.
That's what he ordered for lunch, is 4 eggs over easy on broccoli. And George told me something about the iron and the broccoli absorbs the protein more or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna have to like start eating that or something. Little tricks of the trade in professional sports.
Absolutely, yeah. He was a neat dude. For sure, is a neat dude, I should say. That dude's probably gonna outlive me. Let's be honest.
Oh, he was so healthy. Like he just how old was he?
I'm not sure, but I know he was up there because he was teaching George, and George isn't a spring chicken either. So,
Yeah, he just he was very in shape, and just I was very, very impressed with him, and so I hope I get to hang out with him again. That was a cool trip because literally in like 4 days time, I got to meet Tom Ryan, who's the current head coach. I got to meet Russ, and then I got to meet Mark Coleman and Matt Brown at their house, and I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool as shit.
Absolutely, yeah, it was intense for sure. I'm sure.
Hang out with George, you get to meet some pretty cool athletes in
absolutely
the sports world for sure. So I heard George told me radio has a new show coming on at 9 right after me.
Yeah, he's gonna do it with a former guest of the Ball, Ramones, a buddy of his from the United States Marine Corps. You know how we are, us jarheads and crayon eaters. We flock together for sure and have each other's back. Ramon's pretty funny dude. He's out there in California, he's a city councilman, and I have no idea what they have planned. So I think
you had him on last week, right?
It was a couple weeks
Ramon?
ago. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. But they have a connection. They served together. They fought together. And if you don't know radio, well, you're going to have to get to know him. He's a reservist, and you might think, oh, shit. Well, you could say that, but Homeboy's fruit salad is pretty impressive. Let's just put it that way. So, yes, he got and I think being a reservist is the worst, man, because you get a taste of the suck every weekend in 2 weeks a year, and then you go back, but then it's like a vacation about to end. You know it's gonna come, and then that weekend comes up. Shit, I gotta go back, and then you do that for 2-3 days, and then you're done, and then you got your 2 weeks, and then through GWAT, if you're a reservist, that old school book was thrown out the window. Yeah, you sometimes got deployed
more.
Yeah,
and it was hard because I was a military spouse. Then I joined the reserves. Was trying to go full time, but my spouse at the time was full time as well, and they were trying to deploy us literally at the same time. And the thing about reservists that people don't understand is they have 2 different careers. Everything you guys get to do in 30 days, they have to get done in 2 days a month. They're still required to meet every single requirement of the military, and then they have to have like a regular job too.
Which I can't imagine staying in shape as a reservist. Like, fuck. Like if I would have got out and done the reserve thing full time, or not full time, but that would have been my thing after I got off active duty, and I was bartending.
Richard, I get that because my DD-214 is screwed up too because people look at my DD-214 and they're like, "This doesn't make any sense," and I'm like, "I know it doesn't. I know." Even when I went in the VFW, they're like. My friend was like, look, I totally trust you and everything, but I've never seen a DD-214 like yours. And I was like, think about who I used to work for. And he's like, oh, okay. Got it. Think what I used to. He's like, oh, all right, I got it. But yeah, they're all over the place. But I actually, I was in the reserves with, I can't remember his name right now. He's actually the mayor of Los Angeles now, Eric Garcetti.
Oh, boy. He's not a very popular fellow right now.
He's not very popular right now. No, I'm not crazy about stuff that he's doing right now, but I remember he was actually was a lot of fun to be. He was deputy mayor at the time. He was actually
Yeah.
a lot of fun to be around. But yeah, I looked up one day on the news and he was on the news doing a briefing, and I was like, whoa, Eric, what the hell? And I hit my friend up and she's like, oh yeah, I just went to his new mayor's office and stole the stapler. Like the office is like,
was it the swing line or was it the
as a streamline?
Ah, jeez.
So yeah, he's not very popular right now, so I can't say too much about him, but
yeah,
had some interesting people in the reserves in when I was in California, actually.
Sure.
That's where I met a lot of people in the reserves, and very like I had to have some pretty mad respect for them because they had plenty of jobs that paid the bills. A lot of them were lawyers or pretty high up politicians and stuff like that, and they still joined. But it's not an easy gig, especially when you're intel, because some of those intel people were getting deployed far more than active duty ever was.
Sure.
Like all over the place. But it was a good time. I had a good time. I miss it sometimes. Terrell says I would like my stapler.
Who doesn't miss it? I mean, who doesn't miss it? It's come on, everybody misses some of it at least,
Yeah. We need to do some stuff with the office too, so we can't really talk about the content that you and I are planning, but it's going to be freaking funny as hell.
Oh yeah. We're gonna bring back some old stuff and rework it, and I think Heather's the only one that can pull it off with me. So yeah, we're gonna do some skits and some shorts that some of them are already up on the YouTube VRS page, Vet Radio Syndicate page. I uploaded a bunch of them. Some of them are just short advertisements for shows that have already happened and whatnot, but we're going to stick that in there and feature it on the page. And we're going to try and do some more funny stuff and some creative stuff. We've got, speaking of other shows, we got Ron Ripley and the Rapponians on Monday at 2100 Eastern Standard Time. Ron's a United States Air Force veteran and about, if you can say, honestly, about a generation behind us. And so it's a different level of comedy, a different way of looking at things. He's a stand-up comic, so if you ever get a chance in Southern California, go to the San Diego Comedy Store, which is basically in La Jolla, and go check him out. He's good. He's only going to get better as long as he sticks to his guns.
He has great potential.
Yeah.
I hit Ron up about coming onto VRS, and I've told people, like, I can see Ron becoming huge. He's just that kind of comedian where you can kind of, you can see it coming. So yeah, you see
a lot of fearlessness up him on that stage, and that takes an awful lot because you're going to eat a lot of shit, especially early. Throughout your career, but especially early, you're going to eat a lot of shit. And what I see in Ron is he goes up there pretty fearless, and he's just going to throw stuff out there. And I've seen him like literally take notes, like, okay, that absolutely fucking did not work. Scratch. Next joke.
He studies his trade. Like, he really takes it seriously, and he puts out really cool content too. Look who we have on watching Your Beautiful Wife. She's watching The Domestic Terrorist upstairs.
I think she just put him to bed, hopefully. But we'll see. He might be sneaking and peeking. Every once in a while you hear a little Akbar. And you're like, oh, crap.
He's always so quiet when he comes down in the morning. He's got his blanket. And he's just like looking around.
Yeah. And then he gets comfortable, and then it's off to the freaking races. So.
Yep. Yeah. How's my favorite dog, Carl? How's he doing?
Oh, good. He comes to work with me now, like 2 or 3 days a week. Yeah, because I just go into my back room and I kind of lock him in there with me. I take him out about every hour and a half. And we just go for a walk, and he likes to run the perimeter.
That's a cool area to walk.
Perimeter being inside the warehouse, he likes to go all the way down all the nooks and crannies, smell everything, make sure everything's good. A lot of times, if I mistakenly leave the door open or not completely locked when nobody's at the warehouse, he will growl before I even hear or see or anybody, and I'm like, oh, I guess somebody's in the warehouse. Yeah, he's fun. It's just I'm more productive with him there than I am without him there. If that makes any sense, believe it or not. Even losing 10, 15 minutes for a walk or whatnot, I get way more shit done because, I'm waiting for something to finish up, waiting for something to load up. And then he just is like, hey, I would like some lovin's. I hear you have them. I'm like, get up here, and pet him, get a lick on the face, scratch
Calms
him.
you down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he goes lays. I have a space heater. Not that it's that cold in the warehouse, but it gets a little chilly in there sometimes. And he lays over on 2 shipping blankets that I have for him. He lays over by the heater and just crashes out. So yeah, it's a good workout. It's pretty fun. And I let him go, and the girl at the front desk loves him. And George, of course, if he runs to George in the office, he's going to get a treat and get loves from George. So he absolutely loves George, except when he yells at him. Every time he yells at him, he pees.
He pees himself.
Oh yeah.
He's such a lover too, and he looks like the when I first saw him, I thought he looked like the little rascal.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
He's just missing the little ring, but he was cheating on you a little bit last time I was there.
Oh, he always does.
Because he left you and like ended up sleeping with me.
Yeah.
And then every night after that, he would be waiting for me to like lay down, and then he would like take his spot.
He loves the ladies. And anytime he comes over as a host on VRS or a friend of Michelle's or whatever it is, he just wants to sleep with the lady. I don't know if it's a protective thing or what, but he just loves the ladies. He's a ladies' man for sure. It's hilarious.
He will sleep in the crook of, like, if my legs are bent, he sleeps right in the crook. Yeah, my legs. It is like the cutest thing in the world.
It's got to be slightly uncomfortable for him, but he doesn't care. He just wants to be close.
He just wants to be close.
Yeah. Well, this is a horribly abused dog. I mean, we got him. He was malnourished, 15 to 20 pounds underweight, had a broken leg, just all kinds of horrible shit done to this dog. And we snatch him up, and $5,000 later. Get him fixed, and he's just the biggest sweetheart in the world. Unless he perceives a little bit of danger, and then he's all about it. No, it might be a garbage bag blowing through the backyard, but he's still on it, So it's lucky. It's funny how things work out like that. Yeah.
Anybody that has issues with that breed of dog, they've just never been around that breed of dog. No. I mean, they were originally bred to calm other dogs down.
Yeah.
And they're just like the biggest lovers in the world.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my God. I just love them. Oh, I was going to ask you, so I don't know if you guys all know, but our shows are going on YouTube.
Yep.
Now, so you can watch them on air as well. But I've been needing to get a logo for a while now. I just haven't done it. So I got onto Canva and put out a couple. What did you think of the ones that I
think sent? They're both okay. I think I need to send them to me in the email, because for whatever reason they wouldn't upload from where I saved them to. So I probably need them in the email. But I mean, it's whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's just a thumbnail. It goes on the YouTube video. I mean, yeah, the nicer they look, the crazier they are, they may get more attention. What really I notice gets attention on YouTube so far is basically your description, your title, your description, and any hashtags you want to put in there. So I forgot to mention that tonight, but I think I'll do it somewhere, some way, somehow. Hashtags do have an effect on it. I know people hate them. I
hate hashtags.
5 Bravo had a great shirt that I used to own. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but it said it had the hashtag and it said £, on it, which is basically what it used to be before the internet. But everything's being uploaded there, and we're going further and further back. I think I'm almost up to a year back on VRS, which is great. I'm going to pause and redo a bunch of shows that, for whatever reason, wouldn't upload the normal way, and then I'll start going back from a year forward. But the last year, we've had so many great shows come on, like If You Drink, Yes, I'm a Veteran, How You Deal, which John's going to come back eventually with a podcast, which I think is perfect for a lot of us, but also very perfect for John Fannin, because he gets to have a long conversation with one subject over an intense subject. So I think that'd be great too. And we're going to be gearing up for that as well, so that we can not only have this, what we're watching right now, it'll also be on YouTube, but it'll also be just audio podcasted to, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And that'll increase our exposure even more, because we are starting to get to a part where we're attracting a lot of new talent. And if anybody's out there listening, VRS was started to do several things, but one of them was give veterans a solid platform for veterans to start in social media. especially radio broadcasting and live streaming. And so if you're out there and you're like, I might want to take a shot at this, you should definitely look up myself or George Pardos or any of the hosts on the Vet Radio Synod, because look, I've had to talk too many people into this. It should have just jumped right in with it. This is not.
It's not for everybody.
Nobody went to school for this. Nobody went to school for this.
No.
We just figured it out.
It's not something I ever saw myself doing, ever. And a veteran employment agency approached me, I guess it was a year and a half ago, and asked me if I would do a podcast for them called 7 Echo. And that was all pre-recorded and edited and everything like that. And then that ended, and because it wasn't getting any views. I was like, I kind of just, I was like, I'm putting a lot of work into this, because I had like a whole lineup of guests and there were like themes, and I had like the signature question and everything like that. And then when George hit me up for this show and it was live and kind of off the cuff and just kind of go with the flow, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do that, because I used to be insanely, like, painfully shy kid. Oh, yeah. The military kind of brought me out. I was forced to come out of that shell. But I was like, I'll think about it. And that's about the time a couple months prior to that I had performed with Chris Turner, and I heard his song for the first time, If You Drink, and learned about all the work he was doing. And I was like, that'd be a cool name for a show and a kind of a cool concept. Let's try it out and see how it goes. And surprisingly, it just like took off and is doing like well, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy live a lot better, even though I babble sometimes, but I enjoy it better than being so scripted all the time. Like,
yeah. No, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I love live streaming, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to use a simultaneously running program to put the bar out as a podcast, or do I just want to do just a standalone one? And I haven't come to that. I haven't figured that out quite yet, but I do love the live stream. I do love the live interaction. But you got that with the radio too, as long as you have a chat room. But live streaming seems to be a lot more fun, because I'm a pretty animated person. I'm actually sitting on my hands right now, so I don't get too crazy. Like, I don't know where the Italian in my line comes from, but I do this a lot.
I do this a lot. That is so funny that you just said that. I don't know why this thought came across to me today. Before the meeting, I have no idea. I think I was talking about 23andMe with my boyfriend and doing it or something. For some reason, I thought to myself, I wonder if Minnie is Italian. I don't know why I thought that. That's crazy that you just said that.
I'm not at all. Like, I don't think there's an Italian bone in my body. It's all Irish German, pretty much, or the British Isles. Yeah. My mother's last name is Cassidy. My father's last name is Cremery, but his mother's name is I won't think of it right now, but it's Irish as hell. And so, hence the red beard, right?
Red, yeah.
But,
and it's funny because red sometimes will not come out in regular hair, but, when I was out with teams and stuff, like, they would have, like, regular hair, and then they would grow a beard, and then there's, like, red. It's just like,
supposedly the true mark of a blonde, an original blonde. Like, I was a towhead up until I joined the Marine Corps, pretty much.
Yeah, me too.
And then it turned brown, and then once I was able to grow a beard, it just was leaf Erickson red. So whatever, I'm cool with it. I got a little poly walnut streak, but there it is. Yeah. And I guess that's supposed to be a sign of traumatic experience, whatever. But yeah, I have a straight streak of just of gray right in that beard.
I didn't know that, huh? Well, yeah. I don't know what this all means then.
There's a little one right here. There's a little one right there that goes. See, there we go. There it is.
Like, I can't even get, like, color won't even, like, cover my streaks anymore. I've tried, and actually Raymond Lott told me, he's like, stop dyeing your hair.
Yeah, it's gonna fall the fuck out.
And he's like, you look like Rogue, and it's cool. So he's like, just leave it alone. And I was like, all right, fine. So now I actually tell my stylist, like, don't touch this now.
Yeah,
it's my Corella vibe going on.
There you go. Rock it. And it gets you a full fur 101 Dalmatians coat. You'd be just on it. Like for Halloween. Oh shit. I mean, that's an expensive Halloween costume. Even faux fur is expensive. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But it'd be pretty good. Get you some heels, little tight dress. Boom, Cruella de Vil.
That
Guaranteed winner.
I've always wanted to be a villain for Halloween, and I never have been. But that would be
most people don't. Yeah, that's why I think it'd be a killer. Yeah, most people don't. They always want to be the superhero. They want to be Iron Man, Captain America, the Roman
or
Centurion,
sexy, or whatever.
Yeah. There's a difference between sexy and slutty, right? Let's be honest. Like,
yes.
Nobody cares when you're 22 because you want all the nurses to come out. But when you're 30s, 40s, you're like, I want to see something clever and sexy, not just wow. There's an eighth of an inch from me seeing your hoo-ha. Like, that takes away some of the mystery, I think. But I guess I'm getting old. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I just recently watched that show, actually, the new Cruella with my daughter. I was pretty surprised at how good it was.
I have not checked it out yet.
Disney has been like bringing back villains over the last couple of years and like making them like telling their backstories of why they became that way. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool because that gives kids a different perspective of like not to judge. Something.
Everybody has an origin story, man. I've been listening to this great podcast. It's Dan Carlin. It's called Hardcore History. And I just finished up King of Kings, which is a 4-part, 20-hour podcast. Like they're like 4.5 to 5 hours a piece, and it's hilarious when you listen to this. And he cites this guy's not full of shit. He's been mentioned on every popular podcast that's out there, and his sources are good. He does his research for sure, and you listen to it and you're like, holy crap, I've heard this before. Holy crap, I've heard my leader say this before. Holy crap. Oh, man. It starts blowing your mind. You're like, I was trying to relax, get some work done. Now my brain is scrambled. Thanks. I appreciate that. But I encourage anybody to check that out because holy crap. It will make you rethink politicians. It'll make you rethink war strategy, reasons to go to war, why you stay in a war. It's insane. And I am now on like part 3 of, I think it's called Supernova in the East. It's about the Japanese Empire from like the mid 1920s until its basically destruction in 1945. It's really, really interesting.
That would be cool to have a history show on the station, actually. And it's funny, like people think they know, but they really don't. Like, not very many people actually take the time to really dig into history or research to actually have like an educated opinion about something. But yeah, I remember my grandparents were huge history buffs. My grandpa was a POW in Nazi Germany, and so he was always into like history because it was like so important to him. But he actually made it out of like such a huge historical event, and it was kind of crazy. George's book that's coming out, the Book of Men. It reminds me a lot of my grandpa, because what I thought was cool about the concept of that book is even though these men may not be in society's eyes seen as proper or always doing the right thing, they still contribute positive things to society and to individuals. And that kind of like made me think of my grandpa. I didn't know until after he died, they had like my family's like really huge into ancestry, and they write these little mini books after somebody dies, and they wrote his, and I kind of read through it, and one of my friends was like, can I read it? Because I always thought he was kind of an interesting guy, and I was like, yeah, sure. And they came back, they're like, do you have any idea who these people are that they're talking about? And I was like, no. And I guess like on top of being a POW, he also was like a Golden Gloves boxer.
Nice.
He owns a nightclub at the same time as Urban Cowboys Mickey. Like he and Mickey were like friends.
Interesting.
And then one of his bars, I guess there were 2 mafia families in Dallas, and one of them liked to hang out at his club. Well, another mafia family wanted to start putting poker machines in clubs, and so they basically came to him, were like, we're gonna do this. They didn't even ask, and he was like, he was the kind of person, he wasn't even a very big man. He was maybe like, I don't know, 5'6", 5'7", but he was fucking tough as nails. And he's like, yeah, you're not doing that. And they threatened him. So he mentioned it to this other mafia family that hung out at the club all the time. And they basically went to this other family like, if you ever like even come close to Rocky, like you're gonna have to deal with this. And his name was Rocky too. He was
Nice.
boxer
like
Rocky. It. He was Rocky the boxer before Rocky the
Rocky,
movie
way before, yeah.
Yeah, so he always told people his real name was Floyd, but he always said, "Just call me Rocky." So, yeah, he was a cool dude, and I learned a lot of history through him for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I joined the military is because I grew up with a Patriot and VFW member and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. And one of the things I like about this is that, and one of the things that has changed even in the last 6 months to a year and a half was like listening to different versions, listening to different people talk about history, and you get some of the really nasty, dirty details that you don't get in the school textbooks when you were a kid. You know?
It's like finding out about fairy tales and the real origin of
and they're like, whoa.
Or Valentine's Day.
What? Yes, this is messed up. Wait a minute, and you look at some of one of the things I found very interesting was the comparison between Roman expansion, and there was every time they took over, they were asked to come in by somebody to help out, and they took over a territory and conquered a people. Then guess what? There was another threat on the horizon, so it just became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Kept going. And I'm like, holy shit! Didn't we do that in Iraq? Oh, whoops! Yeah, we kind of did. And then we got ourselves stuck in. Then we spent so much blood we couldn't get out because we had to justify. We had to fix it before we got out because we spent so much money, spent so much blood. I'm like, oh my God, this is how empires fucking get screwed. And I'm like, holy shit, why doesn't anybody, how the hell are all these so-called educated people in charge spinning this national narrative to get us into war, and they don't even pay attention to what they were taught? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. I think what it is when you get older, why everybody's cranky is because you look back and go, what the fuck were we doing? Didn't you read? And then you also look back and go, man, there were some fun times. How did we screw that up? And so we're just perpetually cranky as we get older because we start figuring out more and more stuff. I'm like, oh, man, we were so dumb. And then we pass those on to our kids.
I've always said that I think like there's a lot of people that run for office that really have pure good intentions, and then they make all these promises, and then they get into office and they discover like, how the hell am I going to actually pull this off? Because a lot of times they're left with messes from previous administrations or predecessors and stuff, or their hands are just tied for whatever government regulation BS that you got to go through.
Everybody makes promises coming in, and then the real world hits you in the face, and oh shit. Obama was going to close Guantanamo Bay. As soon as he got that first briefing allowed, when you're president, they get briefings as candidates, but that's not the same thing. He got that first briefing. He was like, oh, there goes that idea. Shit. And it happens to every president. I'm going to make all these promises. Foreign policy is all going to be changed. And then they get those briefings and they go, oh, no, I can't be the guy responsible. That goes backwards, right? And my career is over. And that's the problem with the democratic society is that we don't have continuity in our foreign policy, let alone our domestic policy. And look, it's the best form of government because we haven't found a better one. It sucks, but we haven't figured out a better way to do it. Democracy treats their peasants better than any other form of government. And let's be honest, that's what's great about democracy. They treat peasants better than anybody. But it's hard to rule the world or influence the world despite
when you
your
gotta
power.
change every 4 years.
Every 4 to 8 years, or sometimes you have a great run of 8 years or 6 years, and the midterms come up, and now you lose control of the House and the Senate, and you're a lame duck president who can barely carry out his foreign policy because you got a bunch of people on the other side gunning for you. So I think a lot of times people kind of like, we'll just wait them out, fuck it, because it's going to change. Where China, North Korea, Iran. I don't have to worry about that. They can play a very, very long game and wait us out, basically.
It's what's crazy about Putin is I used to do intel on him. What's crazy now?
He's a smart dude, ain't he?
He's smart.
Yeah.
He is so smart. He keeps changing the rules as he's president to remain in power.
Yeah.
So when his presidency term ends, I think in 2024, he's then going to take the title of, it's not prime minister, it's another minister, but he's written new law that his new title is actually going to be the
it.
one in charge.
Yeah.
And so and I was like, it's evil, but he's a very, very smart man. He hasn't stayed in power. He's stayed in power for a reason.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about his date comes up, I think it'll be 24 years.
Yeah.
Think about that as a quote-unquote elected official.
I remember that the first time I ever did intel on him, like the very first picture that came up was him shirtless riding on a horse. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, if this were ever meme worthy.
Did you ever get the one of his old KGB picture? You had to have gotten that one, right? That was a bright-eyed, starry boy who believed 100% in the system. And this is also a guy who was under assault in Berlin, East Berlin, I think it was, for like 36 hours by the crowd when the wall fell. That really affected that dude. And that's why he acts the way he does, which is stability.
You think like too. So that reminds me of I watched the Unabomber, the story on the Unabomber, and I was like, no wonder that guy was crazy. Like they took him. I think he went to college when he was like 16 or something, and the CIA like picked him up, and like you basically used him to experiment on. And they just like messed him up mentally and then just kind of like threw him out to the wolves when they were done with him. So he was just like mentally crazy.
Well, yeah, they saw a good subject when they had one. He also had like the mumps or something when he was a really young child and his mom was sick. So he was separated for a couple of years at like a critical period where you get like comfort and everything like that. So, you know, the CIA is really good at picking out psychopaths. Just saying, allegedly, I wouldn't know anything about that. But,
yeah, I remember, my old boyfriend, he was on a team that like I didn't even know about at the time, but he said that he said I was adopted and I wasn't close to my adopted family at all. And he said in boot camp, I think they saw me coming. Yeah. Because they selected him to do that. And it fried his brain and his ability to live a happy life. So, well, we are getting to the end of the hour. I could sit here and hang out with you all night, brother. But we got radio coming on.
For the first time in a long time, we can't go long. We have somebody coming up behind us, which is kind of awesome.
It's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what his show is all about. And I love getting more hosts. And I'm hoping that anybody, female podcasters, you know, Minnie put it out there. If you guys are interested in doing podcasts, we need more female podcasts. And I've had a couple people hit me up. I'm like, we need more of them. We got lots of cool stuff.
So happy to have Brittany on. I've known Brittany for quite a while, and she kind of came back onto the show as a commentator, if you will. And then I'm like, hey, it was funny. I invited her on to be a part of the show without realizing I knew her. Oh, so and then we talked after she came on for like 30 minutes on the bar, and I'm like, hey, I want to talk to you real quick. Everybody, you know, kick rocks. And I'm like, I know you, man. We had geography together, right? And something like that. But, you know, I figured like, oh my God. I won't give her away her old call sign, but it's a hilarious call sign, so I won't give it out. But I'm like, oh God, it'd be great to have you on because I always want a female voice on the bar because a female veteran voice, this is important. And so more female shows, we need more shows. We should pack this. The schedule for Vet Radio Singing all the way through all week, every day. And pretty soon we're going to be putting stuff out on the radio, taking our shows, converting them to audio, and just putting them out there straight podcasts. So that's going to be fun. And just stay tuned. I mean, we've got a few minutes, but stay tuned for El Radio, aka Richard Ginn. He's a United States Marine Corps veteran. Big fruit salad on this guy. Does his hair with a iron, so that's interesting. And Ramon's a hilarious dude who appreciates my sense of humor for some reason. I made him laugh more than I think any other host I've ever had, or guest I've ever had. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And all the other shows. I mean, we've got everything going just about every night. Hopefully CJ's going to come back next week with a new version of the Jester's Court, and then Ron Ripley on Monday. I mean, we're getting stacked. I'm very happy with the way things are going here at the Vet Radio Syndicate. So
yes, it's growing and growing and doing good stuff. So I'll let you all go, and thank you guys for tuning in. Had a great time with my brother and fellow podcast host star of VRS, top rated shows The Bar and Sports Church on Saturday and Sunday nights. Don't miss them, and stay on to watch the new show by Radio. So you guys all have a great week, and if you drink, come drink one with us here at Vet Radio Syndicate. Have a great week.